All right, we are joined now by our old friend, Governor Mike Huckabee, now running for president as a Republican. Governor, good to see you this morning.
Good morning.
So Hillary Clinton has a new ad up designed to scare voters about Republicans running for president. Take a look at it. I got to be honest, it made me want to vote Republican after watching it. Maybe you'll have a different view. Here it is.
Think about it.
I would bomb the out of them.
One of these Republicans
carpet bomb them into oblivion.
Could actually be president.
Sit down and shut up.
Enacting their agenda.
I think we should repeal Obamacare.
Our wages are too high.
Defund Planned Parenthood.
They're backward, even dangerous. So ask yourself, who's the one candidate who can stop them? Hillary Clinton, tested and tough. To stop them, stand with her.
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
So who's the audience for that ad? Who's she trying to win over?
I'm not sure she doesn't win me over, and I don't think she wins a lot of people over when she says she's tested, because that's right, she is. She has been tested, and she has failed. She's failed to tell the truth. She's failed to find out what happened at Benghazi and lied about what happened in Benghazi publicly. She failed to reset the relationship with the Soviet Union. She failed to establish a safer world. She's been tested, all right, and she has miserably failed, and I think Americans will be reminded of that all throughout the campaign.
What are you seeing in Iowa right now, Governor, as I think you've been putting on, 150 campaign events? So we checked in with you, I think, last week.
150.
When you were kicking this off. How's that going so far? And are you seeing any momentum heading into the Iowa caucuses just 3 weeks away?
Well, we are, Clayton, and, you know, I've had the benefit of going through this before. Iowa voters break late. These are not people who get firm in their decision until just before the caucus. And in fact, when we polled 5,000 people just before Christmas, 75% of them said, well, we haven't made up our minds. 58% weren't even leaning one way or the other. And they'll come to rallies, they'll listen. They're very thoughtful about this. They take this seriously. This is like an interview process, and they're interviewing people for the job. And they're very careful about not making too firm a commitment until just before. But these are intense voters. And I'll tell you what I think people will find. Every 4 years, there is a big surprise in the Iowa caucus. I think you're going to see it again. And opinion polls, people keep talking about them, and people say this guy ought to get out, this guy is going to win. Let's just wait and see. Not one person has cast a vote yet. Not one. Not one vote has been counted. So when that happens, we'll see how things shake out.
So you've done some independent polls, the Huckabee campaign has, it sounds like. But the polls that we've been reporting, Governor, I mean, Donald Trump and Ted Cruz are just soaring ahead of you by so much. Is it that you don't believe those polls, or you just think that everybody's going to break late and make their decision, you know, at the witching hour 3 weeks from now?
Well, it would be unusual if something like that didn't happen. 8 years ago, I was in a distant second position. Most people didn't think I had a chance to win. I didn't just win. I got more votes than anyone in the history of the caucus. 4 years ago, 5 days out from the caucus, Rick Santorum was in low single digits, in sixth place, and ended up winning. So, look, Iowa voters have a way of thinking for themselves. They will make the decision, and when they do, then we'll all accept it. But I just find it somewhat remarkable, Anna, that everybody is basing things on polls, whether or not you get to the debate stage, whether or not you get a certain position, how many questions you get. This has become a manipulated process based on quick surveys, some of which are, it's harder and harder to poll because people don't want to answer their phones. They don't want to talk for 30 minutes at a time. And I'm just really, I think, troubled that this entire process has been completely dominated by opinion polls rather than qualifications, and even rather than substantive answers to very serious questions about this nation's future.
I think you bring up a great point about
economically,
these polls.
militarily.
I think you bring up, because technologically, right, most people are using cell phones now, and a lot of these pollsters can't reach a lot of these individuals. They have to call them on landlines. And so we're seeing this shift in polling. It'll be really interesting to see come Iowa.
So, Governor, the State of the Union is coming up, and there's a long tradition started by President Reagan of having an American hero in the president's family's box. He had Lenny Skutnik, the hero of the Florida crash. This president, we're now finding out this morning, will have a Syrian refugee sitting with his family. What point is he trying to make?
Well, I guess he's trying to tell us it's going to be just as safe as it can be for us to import Syrian refugees. And if you really want to know how safe it is, look at what's going on in Europe. The chaos there, the mass sexual assaults of women, and liberal politicians telling women, maybe you should be careful that you go out with other people, be careful how you dress. My gosh, I mean, if that's the criteria that we're going to live in freedom, we've already lost it. And I think rather than bring a Syrian refugee in and say, we would like to look like Europe, I think the president ought to say, we don't want to look like Europe. We've seen what happens when we have these mass importations, and we have no idea who they are because we can't properly vet them. And maybe we all ought to take a different strategy. But this president is irrational and illogical when it comes to the real issues that Americans care about.
Also symbolically, Governor, the president is going to leave a seat open in honor of all the gun violence victims over the last year. Do you think this is a good idea or a bad idea? Obviously, this has been a huge point of contention across the United States after his town hall on Thursday and his executive actions on gun control.
When Americans are asked what they're afraid of, gun violence and gun control is so far down the list it doesn't even register. More people were killed last year by hammers than by rifles. Maybe the president should have an empty seat for all the victims of hammer violence. I don't mean to be dismissive, and I understand any gun death is too many. But the president could stop 4,000 abortions a day if he would start treating unborn children as persons. He always says if we could just save one person, it would be worth changing these laws. Well, with that, he could save 4,000. And in fact, if he wants to save some more, if he's so interested in saving one, don't import Syrian refugees, because if just one person gets murdered by a terrorist who slips across the border pretending to be a Syrian refugee, then wouldn't it be worth it, Mr. President, to not go there?
It's a powerful point.
Governor Mike Huckabee, give us the landscape here. 3 more weeks. How many more events do you have in Iowa before things wrap up?
Oh, let's see. We're probably 110 more events, something like that. It's going to be a busy 3 weeks.
How's your voice?
Look,
Yeah.
It's what you do.
You need some lemon and some chamomile tea, I think.
Yes, my voice is strained. I can't imagine what it's going to be like in 3 weeks. And by the way, it's very, very cold.
Yeah,
Iowa.
It's very cold. You'll be giving speeches and hand signals by the end. Impressive.
Probably
Huckabee,
so.
Great to see you this morning.
Great to see you, Governor.
Thanks, Governor.
Thank you, guys. All the best.